Rabbit Air, baby.
No, I'm noticing how you had the pins organized over here.
That's all.
Everything's very organized. Welcome to the Cigar Hustler Podcast Special Edition. Because we don't know where it's going to fall.
Episode number pending.
Episode number pending.
Episode numbers.
With, as you can see,
pending.
we get one. Thank you. With Mr. Skip Martin sitting in with us today.
In the house.
That's right. In the Slapdick Studios.
Slapdick Studios.
In beautiful Daytona, Florida.
Yeah, and now we're going to have good sound bites from Skip.
We need new ones.
What makes you think we're going to talk for a couple hours and you're going to get sound bites out of it?
It's happening. It's happening. All right,
We'll just skip everything.
Yeah, Mike Productions.
Mike Production, yada, yada, yada. Send me an email, blah, blah, blah.
You could be advertising here.
Right.
This could be us, but you're playing.
Right. Why fuck around? All around the world.
I just want to say up front, I came here to do the Chet and Palmer shit show.
Oh, that's Wednesdays.
And got roped into the special edition of Cigar Hustler.
I'll tell Chet you said hello, though. He'll be very excited.
Yeah, well, you got to take what you get.
I heard he had some kind of penis surgery or...
Yeah, he's
heart surgery.
What?
Oh, the heart monitor thing.
Yeah.
I think they didn't end up doing that because of the way... Oh, no, they put it off. Because he went in to get the monitor, and they're like, okay, come back in 6 to 8 weeks, and then we'll check you out and put the monitor on, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'll be dead by then, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. What is going... So what?
I have it in pretty good authority that it was really just some kind of cosmetic surgery on his penis, and then this whole other story is just a front.
Yeah, it's just a cover, to cover the bandages and stuff that are in his pants. You heard when he went to the ER and Chris Baldwin walked in and saved him. Okay. The follow-up was to go see a cardiologist, and they were going to put a heart monitor on him.
Right.
So he went to the follow-up appointment for the heart monitor, and they said, okay, Mr. Atwell, we've seen all your labs. We think this is what's going on. Blah, blah. So if you come back in 6 weeks, we'll put the heart monitor on you, and then we'll do the other test.
Okay.
Well, it's 6 weeks. I mean, he could be dead by then. Who knows what's going on at that point?
Jeez Louise.
So, and then they're going to do the stress test.
Listen, this is all that manual labor shit. He was fine upstairs. He was working the register. People loved him. Now he's like, you know what? I really want to beat myself in the ground with this fucking guy, with Phil. And, you can only do so much, Skip. You try and save people. And, grass is always greener. I don't know.
Yeah, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them think.
That's it.
Drink.
That's it.
Think.
Well, he's in our age group, so we do less manual labor now, not more.
Yeah.
Right.
He's ramping up.
Yeah, I didn't understand.
It's out of his mind.
Other than Phil pays extremely well, is the only thing.
So, hey, if you want to be dead, go take that job.
Right.
Or, you tighten your budget a little bit and you come back to retail. That's it. That's it.
It's just like, I don't work for you, bitch.
Yeah, I don't fucking work for you. Yeah, where have I heard that before?
I don't know where that came from.
Yeah. He's been on eggshells for an entire week. It's very weird. It's very weird.
Palmer?
Yeah. You just can't tell.
He's got a little bit of that, that's my stapler.
Yeah,
vibe going.
Yeah. I will kill everyone. This is my stuff.
Like,
I'll burn this.
When he's here, he's like, haha, it's no big deal. I already forgot about it. Then later he's like, fuck that guy.
Exactly. That's exactly what's going on.
Just at home mumbling, watching
you
TV.
Can tell. You can tell. He doesn't respond to my text right away or whatever. It's like, does his little play moves. Look at him.
You're just saying what you do to me is actually what you just described.
Right. Exactly.
So I'll also start off by saying that I'm very impressed by everything you've done here.
Thank you very much.
So I know this used to be like a church that did gay conversion therapy or something.
Something like that.
And, gay conversion? They did that?
I don't know what she did. I don't know. I'm sure she hated gay people.
It was online.
Some kind of weird.
Yeah.
Some kind of weird thing.
So before that, though, you did your podcast in this place.
I remember. I think I was one of the very first ones to do it downstairs.
Did it downstairs.
It looked much bigger then, though.
And Greg told us we weren't allowed to smoke.
That's right. And here we are.
And basically we said,
fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Man, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
But
how is your brother doing, by the way?
He's good. He's supposedly going to be back. He's in Puerto Rico.
How was your trip in to back into the studio?
Yeah. Well, we have AC now here.
It's nice. Have you guys been taking your COVID test?
No,
we feel fine.
We're from Florida.
Yeah, we don't have it here. You're not allowed.
Yeah,
it doesn't exist.
Yeah, we're not allowed.
Governor said so.
Yeah, you're not allowed to test in Florida.
Okay.
Those are the rules.
So apparently, even like Dave Garofalo posted the other day that he tested negative for like 5 days and then tested positive.
Yeah. Well, he's not from Florida.
That he's not feeling good either.
Yeah. Right.
So
I think the only person in Florida still had is Fred Rui.
I try not to go really hard on people about COVID because then I could get COVID and die because I'm not
Right.
I'm not in the best physical condition. And I don't want my epitaph to be.
it's just
look
hanging
what this guy
behind
said
you.
3 days ago.
You did have your moment there, like early on, with like the whole shelter. Everybody stay away, stay away, stay away, and then fucking one person came to you and you had to pop like fucking a year ago.
Yeah, well, yeah. So once I got vaccinated, because early on there was no vaccination,
nothing. Yeah,
and I knew if I got it, I was done for.
Right. Which turned out to be not true.
So once they had the vaccination,
right, you're rolling.
I was like, yeah,
fucking game on.
John Dolliver claims that I contaminated the office.
You're patient zero.
Okay, listen, I have near indisputable evidence that it was Arlen,
right,
who, despite all other evidence and recommendations, went shopping. Mm-hmm. I'm fairly certain she got it somewhere between Nordstrom's and Neiman Marcus, and then brought it. And then we all went to Mike's house for New Year's Eve, and then everybody at Mike's house got sick.
Super spreader.
And then somehow I got blamed.
Right.
When in actuality,
it was it wasn't me.
It was the foreigner.
It was the foreigner.
We should have.
The dirty foreigner brought it in probably.
Exactly. We should have known.
Terrible.
Yeah.
They're not.
They can't be trusted.
Right.
Yeah. They're all sus. 100%.
Sus.
Totally sus.
So anyway, I had COVID. Then I got the vaccine number 2 booster. I went in for the second booster like a month ago, and they're like, "Well, you can't have it." I'm like, "Well, why not? I have a heart failure. Right. I have a
I qualify.
There are things going on.
I qualify for everything. I just look healthy, but I qualify
for
everything.
Without a note from your doctor, you can't get it. You're
really?
You're 5 days away from your 60 days or whatever." So I said, "Okay." So then I got a note from the Austin Health Department going, "Are you going to come in for your second booster?" I'm like, "Fuck y'all." I don't work on your fucking schedule.
I don't work for you.
I was there 6 days ago.
I don't work for you.
Right. That's what I said to them.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. So now I'm anti. I am absolutely not getting a third booster.
You got every shot, a third booster, every shot but one that you can get. Now,
yeah.
I'm just against it. I was ridiculous.
That's too funny.
Yeah. No, it looks nice, man. It looks really nice. The private lounge is dope.
Yeah.
And you know me, like if there was one thing that I thought stuff on the walls was the only thing that I could say, but everything else, it's exactly how I would have done.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I know when I bring you in, like I'm like, okay, here we go. Let's see what's gonna happen.
Well, so. I feel like because you've been surrounded by a champion.
Yeah, it's true.
I feel like I've lifted your level of execution up a little bit.
Of course.
Because when I met you, were just a slapdick with a glass shop.
Well, shit, I was fucking.
You're basically selling vape and marijuana pipes shaped like a penis.
I was 26 years old.
Still a lot of those up there.
You've really upped your game since.
Yeah,
then.
I'm trying.
A lot of the glass penises up there.
I'm hoping like the next step is to eventually grow out of that, but that requires liquor, and that's been a fucking battle for over a year now.
I don't know, man. Liquor is almost the move.
Tell me.
The move is to open a liquor store and make your private lounge BYO. I don't know what the laws are here in Florida.
Yes.
But do you have lockers? They're not humidified, right?
Right. Well, they are humidified.
They are. So you could create bigger lockers, like bottle-sized lockers.
Right.
And then you could sell them the liquor in your liquor store.
Right.
Because you own this building, right?
Yep.
Right.
You could sell them the liquor in your liquor store.
Mm-hmm.
Displace the lady selling whatever she's selling up there. And then they have to come to you. They don't have to, but it's convenient to come to your liquor store.
Right.
Just leave it out of the cigar store. Because you got beer and wine there.
Yep.
Right?
My thoughts were a double parlay. Take a door, attach the next bay, sell liquor off premise to go, and have the liquor license do both spots.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Jeff does at Riverside. Right. I just don't know what the laws are here. Like in Texas, if you're BYO, unless you pour a drink, you could sell setups. Like when I had a store, we sold, we had, 20 different kinds of water, Red Bull, anything you could mix with a drink.
Right.
And then we had nice glasses, ice, all that. And then if we would sell a water or a Red Bull for $5, and then they would mix it with vodka, or we would sell, Mexican Coke.
They had Red Bull back then?
Yeah.
It was 75 years ago, man.
That was 15 years.
It was those black cans.
It was only 15 years ago?
Yeah. No, but what was great about this was because we bought all the water and mixers and that kind of stuff from Glazers and Republic. He's setting his timer. We're going off on he's setting me.
No. I'm getting notifications.
Don't time me, bitch.
He checks his phone all through the show.
Ah, okay.
You should. Yeah, you're right. At the time, I'm just doing.
I demand 100% complete attention.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Good luck.
I don't repeat myself.
Good luck with that.
I got you. I'm in.
So anyway, we sold these because Republican Glazers. We bought so much of this stuff that they begged other people to take. You know,
Right.
like they're doing liquor at the bar next to
Here,
us.
you and I'll do a show.
Yeah, they did the liquor at the bar next to us.
Right.
And so anyway, anytime we had an event, they would come pour, $1,000 worth of scotch or $1,000 worth of, the swipe the card, the
Right.
free, whatever the sampler. They'd get somebody from wherever to come do liquor at the event.
Right.
And it was like the perfect situation. So, and you didn't have to deal with all the
bullshit,
the bar problems,
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they come at a price. That's for sure.
But anyway, heroin and fentanyl is the way to go. I mean, if you're really looking for money,
Party.
you got to set up a little
Great margin.
You got to set up a little methadone shop here.
One more bay over.
We got bikers.
Yeah, what the hell?
Could be.
They could supply you, I'm sure.
Sure.
Yeah, they just run it right in.
Right. Maybe that's why they've been flushing down the toilet, screwing up the pipe.
Arms dealers and fucking everything.
So I want you to tell Greg, though, all those lockers are wrong. Skip said you got to get new lockers.
No. I'm just saying, like.
No. We want to tell Greg that something's wrong. He loves
those
that.
lockers
He
are
loves
great.
that.
But once Chet throws his back out doing all this construction work,
yeah.
and then he gets the Percocets or the what's the opioid?
Yeah, perks or any type of fucking
Whatever the hillbilly heroin is.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he gets that, and then he gets hooked on that, and he starts chasing the dragon.
There you go.
You got a built-in
It's done.
shop manager.
Right.
Oh,
yeah,
there you
yeah.
go. It's perfect.
Yeah, he can handle everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe in a wheelchair. Have to make things wheelchair accessible in the back.
A walker. We'll give him a walker.
A walker.
That's
So, Mike, I
Rams.
don't know if you have an agenda, but if we start talking about something you think is better for the Patreon,
right.
because I have no filter either way. I don't really.
Okay.
give
You
a
got to
shit.
table it. You got to say
Just
no
yell-
Patreon.
You
yell-
gotta give.
Patreon?
We got to come up
Hit
with
stop?
a signal.
Yeah.
We just got to give me a
Just
signal.
say hey Patreon,
All right.
and then we'll make a note.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, because we got to get the Patreon numbers up.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get it higher.
This fancy shit.
Yeah,
does
Yeah,
not
we got to
for
pay.
itself.
No,
It
it does
doesn't.
not pay for
It
itself.
doesn't. It does not.
No, we have found that out. Would you like to do a podcast once a week, Skip?
No.
Oh,
Yeah, he's got.
you sure? It'd be a great idea.
He's got. He's
Palmer and Martin. It'd be
got Palmer and Martin.
right.
I'm sure people will get sick of listening to me.
So
I'm sick
Yeah,
of
but
hearing myself
what do you
talk,
care? You don't
to be
care.
honest.
You don't care if people are sick. Listen to you. What does that make to you?
So you excited about the two bodegas? Let's talk about that briefly. What's going on?
Yeah. So
Ooh, quick segue.
yeah. Well, it doesn't really start there. It starts with so how far do I go back?
Right.
So we've been at the same production level since the mid 2017.
Right.
We've been at about 25,000 cigars a week. So we haven't had a new product launch since then. I mean, Wonderlust was done. Baca was pretty much in the bag. It hadn't released yet, but it was done.
Right.
Whiskey Rebellion was already done. I mean, other than a craft thing every year, or I don't think we've had anything just new. Maybe your SBCs, that kind
Right.
of stuff. So there was really no new product stuff for me to work on. So the majority of my day is spent, just checking the tobacco, making sure, all the day to day. There's always something.
Right.
Right.
Especially in Esteli.
Yeah. So when COVID hit, my mentality was I can't go 3 days without being in the factory. Because the second I walk in the factory, there's 4 hours of nonstop just bullshit. Like
Right.
this little thing, that little thing, answering questions, whatever. So it was impossible for me. If I would go on a 2-week trip or a 3-week trip, every day I'm spending half of my day dealing with stuff at the factory. So when COVID happened, we ended up being in the States for like 9 months, unplanned. We came to the States thinking, hey, if I get sick, I want to be here, not there.
Right.
So we ended up being here from like February till like January, or March to January. And so what I kind of realized from that was I didn't have to be in the factory every day. That I'd done a pretty good job of building the systems, and that once you kind of just made them do things themselves, that there was little corrections here and there, answers every day, but there was no, like, the whole train doesn't come off the fucking tracks.
Right. You need to check in and review, but you don't need to check in and review every fucking day at that point.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. Right. So we had also hired or made Wilmer our general manager, right? Because Esteban at that point wasn't even spending day to day in the office or in the factory, and we have key people in kind of positions that have been there for years and years. So it's like they all know their jobs. The job's the same every day. There's no big curveballs coming. Right. So, so after being away for 9 months, I thought, hey, you know, I don't have to be here every day. And then the second thought was, I've been in Esteli for 10 years.
Right.
Which is
a long time.
It's a lot.
Try being in Esteli for a week.
It's a lot.
Let alone 10 fucking years.
Right. So, so when I say that, it makes me think. I posted a picture in San Juan. Fast forward a little bit, and some guy comments, "Are you ever in the factory anymore? Who does this now?" And meanwhile, he's smoking a cigar from some guy who comes down 3 days every 5 months, right. And is a master of everything. Right. So, whatever. You can't win. You can't.
Yeah,
win.
It's part of the game.
So while I wasn't there, the majority of my interactions were with Anna, with Wilmer, with Doris. Our head of administration, our head of packaging, and our head of production. And other than just okaying purchases, because we pay for everything, 200,000 here, 150,000 here, 30,000 here, 300,000 there. Other than approving those purchases, I just trusted that Esteban was looking at the tobacco and that it was going to be good, which he always has. Mm-hmm. And so when I get back, everything's on track, everything's going fine. Few things are a little bit wonky. We fix those pretty quickly. Right. And so I'm like, hey, I'm going to start spending a lot more time not in Esteli.
Right. This is your time. This is your opportunity.
Right. So at the same time, for the last 3 years, Esteban and Raul have been doing, it kind of started as just, Fidel Olivas, who we used to buy a lot of tobacco from years ago, mm-hmm. went out of business. The bank's repoed his
up
property.
In the mountains.
Right.
Pueblo Nuevo.
And Regadillo. Mm-hmm. And he also did Pueblo Nuevo. Mm-hmm. And what had happened was Raul and Esteban had rented one of those old bodegas from the bank, and they were doing Desparillo. So it's very common because after crops are harvested, after they come out of the curing barn, or even when you buy a lot of tobacco and you bring it in the country, if you have to process it after that, your business, no matter how big it is not built to process 20,000 pounds of tobacco all at one time. So Esteli didn't really have a service where you could drop off 20,000 pounds of tobacco, frog strip it, dry it, process it, and then deliver it back to you.
Right.
So what companies would have to do is they'd have to hire 25 or 30 or 40 women to do this job, and it's just not sustainable. So what happened was Esteban, knowing that all these people in Regadillo hadn't had jobs for 3 years, nobody was farming out there, they started this processing where, mainly Gus Cura from Nicoprosa or even Noxa could drop off tobacco, and then they could get it frog stripped and then dried and packed, stuff they bought in bulk. So anyway, they started this processing company. And then and sorting is a big part of that. Sorting. You always sort. Right. It's always about sorting. So then they had started co-opting some of these old farmers to grow Esteli tobacco. They're growing a different seed variety, the stuff that Fidel Olivas used to grow. And actually, we were buying a lot of that. So a lot of people don't buy the heavy tobacco we purchase. And it's not always available. So we would buy that from Esteban and Raul. So anyway, he had gotten more and more tied up into that. So he wasn't even in the factory most of the day. So his main role was going out looking for tobacco that we needed 6 months from now, a year from now, putting our name on it, going to look at the palones of tobacco we purchased last year, make sure it's being flipped correctly or whatever, and then also working on this stuff with Raul. So he was spending less and less time in the factory. So knowing that, another thing you need to know is owning a cigar factory is not a profitable business. It's only profitable in two circumstances. One, if you're making a lot of private labels for other people, mm-hmm. which Plasencia did for years, mm-hmm. right? You use your own tobacco. You make cigars for other people.
Right. Yep.
I sell my cigars to me for X.
Right.
I sell your cigars from me at X plus $1.
Right.
Or X plus $1.20.
Right.
So where I'm making 15, 20% margin or 30% margin on my own stuff because I'm subsidizing it all, right? I'm making 100% margin,
right,
or keystone basically on the stuff I make for you, and I'm doing that to you as a favor,
right?
If you went, this from recently, you go to AJ Fernandez to get
you pay more.
Whatever the Ezekiel Shepherd, whatever, it's
pay
$3. It's $3.50 a stick,
right?
Which is
sometimes more than that, right?
Sometimes
now.
more.
I was gonna say it's more.
Yeah.
More.
So my point is, unless you're making private labels, you're not really making any money.
Right.
So the way our factory was set up is Mike and I sell all the cigars. We take a lot of the profit margin we make and send it back to the factory to buy tobacco for the next year, 2 years, 3 years. But we had over 8 or 10 years, we'd accumulated a lot of raw material. And so we started, even as we kind of hit our stride, we started paying out dividends. And Esteban was using his dividends to fund his business.
Right.
And I'm using my dividends to buy more raw tobacco for this business.
Right.
Right. So here we are, I'm subsidizing the business. We have something more than $1 million on deposit with the factory. And, basically the three things: A, you're not really in the factory much anymore. B, you're not making a lot of money. I mean, Esteban probably made, $80,000, $100,000 a year for the last 7 years.
Right.
Which is pretty good money.
Especially
that's 3-4x what he used to make.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not nothing, but it's not, AJ Fernandez burned down the world by a Rolls Royce money, right? Because he doesn't own it.
Thick old chain.
He doesn't have the capital. He didn't have the big CI deal, which is private label, right? He didn't have those kinds of deals, and our factory was never going to be that.
Right.
And we had gotten into discussions, not arguments, but like, hey, it's got to be more. It's like, okay, we can double our production.
Right.
So let's go find some land. Let's build a new factory.
Right. I remember
I come up with half.
Right.
You come up with half. Well, I don't have half.
Right.
Okay, so I'll come up with half. You go get a loan for the other half.
Right.
Well, I can't do that.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to pay 15% interest. Well, like I wouldn't either.
Right.
Like, well, save up your $80,000 to $100,000 every year you're making, and then when you have $400,000 or $500,000 together, we'll put the other $500,000, and then we'll give a loan for the difference.
Right.
It's like, well, I want to own the factory. It's like, well,
Takes
it's a
money.
funny thing. You can't own stuff if you can't afford it.
Right.
Right.
That's how that works.
So you get into these circular discussions again and again.
Right.
So it's like my goal is to make cigars for me.
Right.
I understand the business need. I understand your need as a partner to make more money and build your whatever in your working years.
Right.
But, I can't. I'm not a sugar daddy.
Right.
I'm not,
Right.
tobacco
It's
Santa
not
Claus.
charitable work. Right. It's work.
Right. It's business. So
Food's here. Oh, 20 minutes. Boom.
nice. Well played.
You're not even done.
So anyway, the net of it is like, look, there's 3 options, right? A lot of other stuff, but
Of course.
Anyway, three options. But in December, Mike came down. It's like, look, we do need to do something.
Right.
We've been at this static level for 4 or 5 years.
Right.
We're selling every cigar we make as fast as we can make it. We need to grow production just for RoMa, but we do not have the space. Another thing happened is there was a new license for this year, a new health license from Mensa.
Of course.
They came from
what the fuck, know?
They came from the WHO.
Right.
And it started off it was basically as bad as the FDA stuff was going to be.
No shit.
But on a Nicaragua level. And then our chamber that we belong to, our chamber of tobacco producers that does Puro Sabor and all that, they got together with the government and said, look,
it's a bit much.
it's a little too much, So
Be reasonable.
somehow the big guys, has nothing to do with what the government wanted to do for me. But again, somehow the big guys convinced them that if it's for export and if you were in a free zone, which we're not, we're in 382,
Right.
that they kind of curbed a lot of the rules. But they still ended up with this administrative burden where everything you bring in, whether it's cigar labels or paper for cigar labels or raw material or whatever, you had to get it approved through Mensa, that it's not going to somehow kill a bunch of Nicaraguans with cancer,
Right.
which is all bullshit.
Correct.
Because it's 100% export,
Right.
number one. And number two, entire purpose of the whole exercise was twofold. One, to get a huge amount of money from the WHO for instituting this regime,
right?
This process. So the WHO, that's trying to control it, the universe with anti-tobacco bullshit, said if you guys put these laws into place, we'll give you a huge chunk of money. Which you may not know, but Nicaragua needs a little bit of money right now.
I've heard that. That.
So that was a green light.
Right.
And then the second reason why is because any kind of administrative bullshit thing they can put in place means that a whole bunch of people start making money on the slick.
Right.
Right.
The
grease.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, long story short on that, we have to pay a significant chunk of money every month. And every time we bring anything into the country or send anything out of the country, just for somebody to sign a piece of paper.
Right.
Right. So the whole thing is just perfunctory.
Complete fuckery.
It's, but it is what it is. We sell tobacco, we do it.
It's there.
So the long and short of that is because we had to do this new license, that we had to do a whole nother license from the Ministry of Work, that basically where they came in and they said, you need to have a cafeteria
for them to eat.
You need to have more bathrooms
for employees to eat. Oh,
you need to have X, Y, Z, and it's like we don't have room for anything.
Right.
We have the nicest bathrooms.
Yep.
No one's in 10 years. We've had the same number of employees for 6 years.
Yeah.
No one's ever said, "Hey, the bathrooms are always occupied."
Right.
Right. I mean, my next step was to make both bathrooms gender neutral, so women, because we have more women than men, let the women use either one.
Right.
But we never even had to do that because no one's ever had an issue.
Right.
Right. I'm also not a restaurant.
Right.
Right. So I asked them. I said, can I just pay a local restaurant for everybody's food every day? They go and get there. Lunch. Right. They go eat there. They said, no, you have to have an actual.
No shit.
Yeah. So at that time, we don't have a square inch in the factory. We've got, 50,000 pounds worth of tobacco in the factory. We have 40,000. This guy's doing us a favor over here. We've got 60,000 over here. So we've got $2 million worth of tobacco stored all over the place. And you can't just store tobacco like a trade show booth. I mean,
no.
Storing tobacco, you have to keep it at a certain temperature, keep it a certain humidity.
Right.
You got to watch it because if the temperature gets up, it can it can combust.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It'll literally just catch on fire.
Oh shit.
And burn the whole place down if it gets hot.
Right.
Which there's a lot of ways to prevent that, but it happens.
Right.
That's why you hear about people's warehouses just burning down because they left some.
I never understood that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
They left some polone going. It gets up to 200 degrees and it catches the cover on fire, and then everything burns to the ground.
So who's in charge of Fuente? I mean, we have to fucking talk about that.
So anyway, we had this need for a storage space so that we could so that we could store finished cigars better because they were kind of just stacked everywhere. Because our existing thing was built for 300,000 cigars, and it was it really wasn't, it was really it was just you've been there.
Yeah, I've been there over time. I've seen it, at one point it's like, okay, this thing is starting to get full. Then the next time, okay,
so you have to move 20 things to get to another thing.
Right. Yeah. Then it gets to a point.
Like our bodega that we're supposed to work in is so packed with tobacco that you literally have to take out tobacco to get to other. So anyway.
It's a process.
Right. So we needed space. We've needed space.
Right.
But you're caught in this catch-22 where it's like, okay, am I just gonna have to come up with more money, or are we, hey, take some of this money you're making and instead let's invest in this. And it's like, no, I need the money for the other thing. So anyway, we're in the middle of all that. So the government at this point is telling us you have to do something.
Right.
So I said, hey, here are the options. Let's invest some money. I don't know where you would get it. I don't know if you have it. I don't know if you have access to it, but we have to invest money to do this. Mm-hmm. I own half the company. I get half the profits. You own half the company. You get half the profits. But what can't happen is, RoMa putting in another $1 million. Right. Because no factory in the world works that way.
No, at that point.
We're 10 years into this.
Right.
This is not.
You have to surrender ownership without question.
So it was either, you put in money and we do what we need to do.
Right.
Or I sell the factory to you, and you keep things going, but we're not paying deposits the way we used to. Right. You're gonna have to put your own money into this. We'll pay higher prices.
So we're back at come with more money,
or you sell your half the factory to me. Right. And the discussion was, well, that's not enough, and that, you guys make a lot of money, and you have a lot of money, which obviously has nothing to do with anything.
Right.
So then it was, okay, well, maybe somebody I trust will buy it, my half.
Right.
And after we worked with a really, really good group of people to buy my half of the factory, and at the end they came back and said, we own half the factory, we put in 100% of the capital, 100% of the risk, and somebody else takes half the profits.
Right. You're out of your mind.
That's a no-go.
That's a no-starter.
What a hell of a deal.
Right.
B, we owe you guys a lot of money as soon as we buy the factory because of these deposits, and how are we going to agree on paying that out?
Right.
That's a problem. It's a problem.
Right.
And number 3 was whatever other kind of side issues you're having with your partner, even though we've known him for 20, 30 years,
right.
whatever. It's like we don't want to enter another.
We don't want to be a part of that.
We don't need your problems.
Yeah, we have our own shit.
So I said, hey, here's the deal. I trust you so much. I'll give you my half of the factory.
Right.
I haven't taken a penny out of the factory in 10 years anyway.
Right.
I'll give you my half of the factory, but you have to keep my prices the same for 2 years, and you have to draw down my thing. And they said, can't do it.
Nope.
So they wouldn't even take it for free.
Right.
So at that point, I was in a pretty good position to say, look, options now are close down the factory and get our cigars made somewhere else.
Right.
And, or, close it down, we sell the company, and, there's been people chasing us to buy us for years.
Right.
But it's just not sustainable the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So where we ended up coming out with us buying Esteban out of the factory.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amicable. I mean, like his wife and son worked there. I said, hey, you could still work here. And they said, we're not really,
yeah.
Work is such a...
Right. What's
Such a vague
what do you
term.
mean isn't work? Like,
Yeah.
It's more like we get paid to be here.
Well, I mean,
Right.
look, they were there from the very beginning till midnight.
Yeah.
Work. I mean, when we were behind Esteban's house,
Right, I was gonna say,
it was his kids and his wife who
Right.
were doing a lot of the work.
Right.
So anyways,
And as time progresses, you find
Yeah.
people to fill those positions, and you free up more space and time in your life.
right. So
and,
we
yeah.
basically took really good care of them.
Right.
Number one, which no one else would have ever done.
Right.
We took care of Esteban, and we entered an agreement with Esteban to say, look, the one thing that we really do depend on you for is going out
Tobacco
and sourcing
buying.
tobacco.
Right.
There's certain kind of tobaccos we buy. Number one, Esteli Ligero, which we get from him.
Right.
So I said, if you source the tobacco, we'll pay you a commission for doing that work.
Right.
And then, so
Cut
that's where we are
drivers,
now.
right.
So Esteban's out there, looking for tobacco continuously. If we need it, if it's the right quality and it's the right price, some combination of those things.
Right.
If we really, really need it, higher price. If we don't really need it, but it's a good deal, we'll
Right.
buy it. But anyway, he does that. He sources the tobacco,
Yeah.
and it's been working pretty well for about 6 months, or 8 months.
Yeah.
So
And now he's driving around a Ferrari and Estelite.
no, I don't think
No,
so.
it's got to be. It's 4 wheels. It's got like the big. It's up in the air a little bit.
Right.
It's got to
No,
be
he would
reasonable.
never buy
I know.
anything
He's
fancy
not that
anyway.
guy. Yeah.
But so anyway, all that's to say,
Right. Yes, we have a bodega.
now that,
Yeah, I was going to say, were we talking about the bodegas?
so now we own 100% of the factory. So Arlen and really
It's Arlen's.
in tax whatever
Right.
it's but Mike and I own it.
Right.
So basically, I still own the first half. Mike and I own the second half.
Right.
But most of it is in Arlen's name.
Right.
Right. Which means whatever it means.
Right.
Right. Like if anybody's keeping track,
Right.
there's a lot of people out there that own factories.
Right.
That actually don't own factories.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Several.
Right. So anyway,
You mean that there's a lot of bullshit in this industry? I was just looking for clarification here.
I mean,
'cause,
far be it from me to say that, unless we're on the Patreon. I'll be clear.
Yeah, that's
But-
Patreon conversation.
So immediately we started investing, and the priority was get the tobacco out of other people's storage, get the
Right.
tobacco out of Nico Sueño. We had to have more space.
Right. And that's the easiest solve for that is find the place to hold the tobacco.
Yeah, so there's 3 different bodegas. One bodega is for tobacco we purchased that is in the name of the factory. The bodega is owned by the factory,
Right.
and operated by the factory. And actually, that's managed now by Arlen's dad, Chico, who started with Padron like in the late 60s, early 70s. He's kind of retired, but now I unretired him.
Right. Guess who's back?
Because I trust him.
Right.
So he runs that, and then that's all finished stuff, and that's what you saw on Instagram.
And that fucking bodegas look extremely clean.
It is. Well, you know how I do stuff. I don't fuck around.
Yeah, you don't half-ass it.
So the second, if you've been in another bodega, they don't look like that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
The second one is also for packs that are ready to use, but are packs that the factory doesn't own.
Okay.
So Luciano from Ace Prime and I have and from Pichardo and I have been sourcing a lot of tobacco and buying it. Mm-hmm. Most of it for our own factories, but also some of it opportunistically.
Right.
You know, so like for example, we just bought a lot of Indonesian binder. It's been kind of tough to get in Esteli, $8-9 a pound.
Right.
We got really, really good binder, 2 containers full, 40,000 pounds for like half that.
Nice.
So, I mean, you can't not buy it.
How do you say?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Can't pass out.
And you use a lot of Indonesia binder on your cigars anyway.
Yeah. So, but this is this is enough for me for like 10 years.
Right.
So obviously some of that will sell to other people.
Right.
And, whatever money we make on that, whatever my share is, will go back to just buying more tobacco for the factory.
Right.
So it's kind of another way to kind of help subsidize that without Mike and I having to continuously
stroke a check,
send
wire transfer,
post-tax dollars to Nicaragua.
Right.
But yeah, so the second bodega is also finished tobacco, and then the third bodega is for pilones.
So are you going to take a picture with you, like standing in front of Pilone and say this one's yours?
Oh jeez.
Yeah, I'll be putting like a moist vagina against my nose.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I select women the same way I select tobacco. You just close your eyes, start heading south. If you smell it by the time you get to the belly button, you just go back up.
That's it. It's
yeah,
I get you.
No, so the reason why, I mean, we've never had our own pilones. We never had our own pre-industry, which is rare for a factory.
Yeah,
because even really small factories have their own pre-industry.
Well, but you've purchased stuff pre-industry, but it's always been at other places, no?
Yeah, so like what we
had
used
at Gus's or whatever.
What we've always historically done is, like, let's say we go to the Dominican and we'll buy Dominican from Leo Reyes.
Right.
It's 100% ready. Mm-hmm. He doesn't sell tobacco unless it's 100% ready because he has very specific process.
Processed, it's done.
Yeah. So that tobacco is ready to put in a cigar tomorrow.
Right.
We buy a lot of that, containers full. Historically, like for example, if we were to go buy Arapiraca, we have always processed our own Arapiraca because no one else can do it. No one else knows how to do it because it's very hard to work the way we work it, but it takes years, and nobody wants to do that. So Arapiraca is one of the only tobaccos we've ever worked, and we usually have always worked it behind Esteban's house and a couple of pilones. Right. Like 6-7 years at a time worth. We use 1,500, 2,000 pounds. We have 2 pilones of 4,000 pounds, so it's like 4, 5, 6 years worth, right? Right. So, but like for example, when we would buy broadleaf, right? When we used to buy it from GK, right? We used to buy from Lancaster Leaf. Frank Miller in Dominican would sell it to his subsidiary in Nicaragua, GK, and GK was set up specifically to sell tobacco to factories like ours, right? So they know what our needs are. They would buy it, they would process it, and then they would sell it to us because they're flipping. They're buying tobacco for X, selling it to us for X plus 20%. And so,
popular guy.
Yeah. So what we just kind of entered into an agreement with Gus Cura to say, look, we're going to go select. Esteban and I are going to go select with Raul for not when he goes to buy tobacco from Knox. Esteban's going to go with him. Right. We're going to go buy 10,000, 20,000, however much broadleaf we can buy as an example. You're going to bring it in. You're buying it for $18, $20 a pound. Right. You bring it in. You work it for 8 or 10 months. At the end of the 10 months, it gets sorted out. The stuff that still meets the requirements we have, we take, and we pay you $30, $33 a pound.
Right. You pay the premium for taking it apart, essentially, and taking
for processing it. Right. And the answer is always, well, we're not in that business. Right. But we'll do it as a favor. Right. Right. Because it's profitable. It's not like it's not a favor. Right. It's we'll do this for you. Right. We're not in this business. This isn't the business we want to be in, but we'll do it because it's profitable. Right. And it makes money and it helps you out. Right. Because we're also buying hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of other tobaccos from them. Right. And also because Esteban, over the years, has done things for him. Raul, his brother, works there. Blah blah blah. So the long and short of it is, A, they don't really want to do that anymore.
Right.
They never really wanted to do it in the first place.
Right.
Once we took, our $500,000, $1 million worth of tobacco out of their bodegas, they're like, okay, we really, you really got to figure out how to do this on your own. Mm-hmm. It's time for you to leave the nest.
Right.
Right. And then the other thing is, whereas before 65, 70% of the tobacco we used to buy would be like Leos, like ready to use, that tobacco doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Because good tobacco is in such short supply that people who need it are buying it at 60, 70% ready.
Right. And finishing it.
Because a lot of them like to finish it themselves.
Right.
Because they have their own processes and they want to finish it themselves. They don't want you to fuck it up.
Right.
Or not do it the way they would do it. They want to buy it at, people like AJ grow their own, or even the stuff they buy. Placencia, AJ, my father, all these people, they don't like buying tobacco that's 100% ready.
Right.
Because that means it's not the kind of tobacco that it's not processed the way they want.
They didn't cook it the way they wanted to cook it.
Well,
right?
cooking is...
Well, no, I'm in essence of like, it's your kitchen. You know what I'm saying?
For example, if I want tobacco to be fermented at low temperatures over a long period of time,
right,
I don't want you to do it really quick.
I don't want you to rush it.
Over 6 months, because I can't undo that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, it's burnt chicken.
Right. So with Nicoprosa, we could say, hey, I know it takes longer, but we'll pay for that service. They're not going to do that for everybody. Nobody will do that. So
it's like a brisket.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, low and slow, baby.
Right.
So
so there's that, and then the other thing is people who are losing in the marketplace, who can't compete with good cigars in the marketplace,
right,
because they have so many administrative and sales and marketing costs and all that,
right,
that they're paying the factory a private label,
right.
I don't have to say names,
right,
but if you're paying a factory $4 for a cigar,
right,
that contains the same kind of tobacco that I have, and I'm buying that cigar for $1.50,
right,
and then I have really low costs on the U.S. side, and you have to pay brokers 15% and pay advertising and pay podcasts and pay whatever, and I'm not doing almost any of that. Then you have to charge $14, $15 for the same exact cigar that I'm selling for $9 to make the same amount of money.
Exactly.
Right?
If not more.
Right. So, you'll notice I don't really care telling you the numbers.
No.
And the reason why is because I feel like I make a fair share and my cigars are a good price.
Right.
But I can tell you, when you're paying $14 for a cigar, you're not paying 14. You're not getting
higher
you're not
quality
getting
tobacco.
40% more quality.
Right.
You're not getting 40% more better tobacco.
Right.
You're not getting 40% more. The guy who did this is a genius.
Right.
You're actually getting a cigar made by someone else.
Right.
That they weren't even there to see get made, with tobacco that they maybe have not ever seen or touched. It's getting shipped in. They're paying people all along the way to do that stuff that we do ourselves.
Right.
Then they're paying someone else to walk into the store and manage the relationship to get it on the shelf. And really, their primary job is going around saying, hey, I'm the smartest guy in the room. Let me teach you about tobacco.
Right.
And buy my cigar and pay the extra $4.
Wow. You just broke down the cigar industry in fucking less than 30 minutes.
My cigar is $14.
Yeah, well, you did a good job blending it.
BDP's cigar is, I told him right off the bat, it's overpriced.
Yeah.
For me.
I know how you feel.
But the second half was good.
I mean, if you only want to sell 5,000 cigars, you could basically price them at whatever you want.
Yeah.
If you want to sell, 7 million, 8 million, 10 million cigars over years and years, the same cigar, that isn't some gimmicky new whatever, you have to charge a fair price.
There are ways, I know that we agree and disagree on many things, but you're right. As far as when you kind of grow into, we're not at that level. Right, we're not producing 1 million sticks a year, and because we're not producing 1 million sticks, we have to fucking pay a premium, So that's really kind of the avenues as to where we're at. I would say that we've definitely made a lot of progress as to where we are now and where we've been in the course of 6 years distributing. And there are some things that I've learned from you. Obviously, I'd say a lot of things that I've learned from you. And there are some things that, you have to kind of go out and taste and try and fucking get your lumps as well. So we're doing the process. You just say the word. You say, hey, listen, you come to me, you make your cigars sold with me, and I'm good. I'm good to go. We have plenty of room, and that's
and look, and I'm not saying one is better than the other.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I'm making a cigar right now with Ernie Carrillo. I fully expect to pay a premium because
that's going to be expensive as fuck.
Because I'm a pain in the ass.
You are?
Yes.
No.
Stop it.
Is that the one with the incredibly long name?
Right.
How do you say that word?
It's a quinceanera, yeah.
Ken Quajanaro.
What?
So it's Ken, like Ken and Barbie.
Ken.
Right.
Qua, like the Quan
Right.
from Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire. The Quan. The love.
King Kwan.
Ken Qua.
King Quan.
Jin.
Jin.
King Kwan.
Ario.
Ario.
Ken Quajanaro.
Yeah, it's
Kin
Japanese.
Kanjima. Yeah, it sounds Japanese
King
or Chinese.
Quadranario.
Kin-
What I said.
It just means something that's 50 years old.
Right.
Like anyway.
Yeah, something that's 50 years old would be really big band to get all the way around the cigar.
So, because the market, because they can't compete in the real market, or because they don't like to, because it's expensive to compete. You can't just sell an average cigar for above average price and take market share from a company that's doing guerrilla fucking sniping
Marketing
like we
tactics.
are,
Yeah.
right? They're not going to spend 8 hours a day on social media responding to
Every slapdick in the universe.
Yeah, they're not gonna do that, right? They got lives. I live for this shit. This is what I do,
Right.
Right.
and you just can't compete with that. So what do? You got to figure out how to compete in other ways.
Right.
So if you buy up all the tobacco that person needs,
Yeah, you're cutting the supply lines.
yeah, then they can't make cigars.
That's
and believe me, there are people who come at us
Of course.
like that.
That's been going on for years.
But here's the thing. I got enough margin. At the end of the day, I could pay enough more for the tobacco that you're willing to try to buy from me.
Right.
So, let's say Mike's selling tobacco. Mike Palmer, Esquire over here, wants to cut me out of the system.
Yeah, he says he doesn't work for you.
He goes to
and
Mike,
starts going
buys
on.
all the tobacco.
Right.
So I go to Mike and say, hey, I need this. And they say, well, I sold it all. It's like, okay. That's cool. I got 2 years worth. I got a year worth.
Right.
I'm not playing the short game here.
Right.
The next time you have it,
I'll pay more.
I'll pay more.
Right. Don't even bother with the other guy.
Yeah. Ask him what he'll pay.
Right.
Call me.
Right.
I'll pay more.
I'll pay more.
Because I don't give a fuck.
Right.
An
Well,
extra
you have
10, 15% for filler.
Right.
Whether I pay $9 or $10 and you're paying and here's the thing. It's like the character of these people.
Mm-hmm.
They can't. Their body won't even let them pay more. They're built to negotiate down.
Right.
So they want more.
Right.
Right.
I want to buy the tobacco so Skip can't make cigars.
Right.
But something in my DNA will not let me pay $1 more than I'm supposed to pay.
Right.
In fact, I want to get 50 cents less because I'm buying it all.
I'm buying all of it. Right. Give me a deal.
No, Skip's still going to pay $1 more.
Right. And you have the systems in play where...
I'm still going to make more money.
Right.
I'm still making more money than you. I'm not saying more like,
Right.
AJ Fernandez is
when you
killing
scale
it. He's not hurting for money.
Yeah. When you, yeah.
I'm going to make enough.
Quantity-wise, yeah.
Yeah. I don't need it anyway.
There's no Learjet.
Yeah.
You're doing all right.
Yeah,
You're doing okay.
I'm already paying my people more.
Right.
I'm already doing more for them than most people.
And this isn't the Patreon. Yeah, and you haven't chimed in. This is...
We're not getting into details, but I'm just saying.
Right.
You can ask anybody that will tell you the truth.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
I'm already living down there. You won't live there.
Right.
I'm already buying the best tobacco possible.
Right.
I'm already not making cigars when I can't find that tobacco.
Right.
I will not substitute tobacco.
No, you don't.
I'm already...
I can tell you that. I can attest to that for 10 years as a customer of yours.
I'm already...
Mm-hmm.
I don't... Charge me 30% more. Now, I don't even have to pay another person in the factory.
Right.
I could lose money in the factory.
Right.
Come at me, bro.
Let's go, motherfucker.
I do not give a fuck.
Let's go.
I'm not here.
I'm agile.
I'm not here. My retirement is taken care of.
Right.
I mean, you know my lifestyle.
I have an idea.
I don't need 20 years of retirement. Number one. My kids are already taken care of.
Right.
I live in fucking Nicaragua.
Right.
I buy nice stuff, but the stuff I buy, I don't spend money on.
Right.
I buy a $20,000 watch. I could sell it for 18 to 25.
Right.
I don't spend money. I live on like $2,000 a month.
Right.
I mean, I do buy.
Something.
I do take $20,000 Disney, $25,000 Disney vacations.
Right. But hey, you know what? It's all about making those memories.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
But my point is, from a business perspective, right? We're doing just fine.
Right.
And going back to where we were on the bodegas.
Oh yeah, bodegas.
I have to buy tobacco. I'm not going to lose train of thought.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
I don't remember what the original question was.
I have an index card. I'm going back. Yeah.
You got to listen to the Skip interviews. You got to be all about it.
So
it's all very interesting.
So I can't buy tobacco anymore that's 100% ready.
Right.
So I have to do my own pre-industry.
Ready. Right.
And I don't know the first fucking thing about pre-industry.
Right.
Just like
this is a new realm.
Just like 10 years ago, I didn't know the first fucking thing about making cigars.
Right. It doesn't intimidate you.
No, I learned fast.
Right.
I learned fast. I'm a nuclear engineer.
Right.
I have an MBA from basically one of the best schools in the country.
Right.
And I've been working in Nestle for 10 years. I could figure it out.
Yeah. It's not. You know the game.
I never worked at NASA.
Right.
But it's not rocket science. and I said that just for Tyler Jeffrey, by the way. But my point is that I know the people who do know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to fuck it up.
Right.
Primarily, Luciano has been doing this for a long time. Pichardo's been doing this for a long time. So you surround yourself with champions.
Right.
SPC,
you know what
baby. You know what you own. You know what you own. You know what you know, and you know what you don't know.
Right. You know your scope, and then you get the right people around you. Right.
So there's things that I do that I think I do differently or better or whatever than Luciano. I've built a brand. I've been selling core lines. I distribute my own cigar. There's a lot of things I do that he's learning from.
Right.
And there's a lot that he does that I'm learning from.
Right. It's a good give and a take.
Yeah.
So
right now, we're just doing it kind of my stuff and his stuff mixed together, sharing the expenses and then doing it. Longer term, we may be doing it as a separate company because another funny thing about the 382 is I'm only allowed to bring in or buy so much material a year.
Oh, it's capped.
So the way the government controls things is everything I export, I pay taxes on the export. They don't wait for you to file a tax return and tell them what you owe them.
Right. You're right.
They collect it off the top.
Right.
So instead of charging you 30% of your 10% of profits, they charge you 3% of 100% of your revenue.
Right.
Straight off the top.
Okay.
Right. So, but they let us buy certain things without paying VAT tax or EVA. The value-added tax.
Right.
So, like, if you bring a television set to Nicaragua, they're charging you 30-something%.
Right.
If I bring in cigar labels, and I'm not in the CAFTA regime,
right,
they're going to charge me 15%, right, of any, So they tax the shit out of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, being in the 382, which is the Central America Free Trade Agreement, is CAFTA DR is actually what it is. I can buy anything into my company under my 382 that I plan to export and not have to pay taxes on it.
Okay.
So I'm not a free zone. I'm not a zona franca. So I can't, if you're zona franca like Placencia and AJ and my father and these big companies, you can bring tractors and cars and you can bring anything and not pay tax on it.
Right.
Because as long as it's meant to generate an export.
Right.
And jobs. But they have a lot of administrative paperwork that they have to do. And I've always avoided doing that. And once you decide to go 382 instead of free zone, you can't change.
Oh, you can't?
No, you can't. You can't just go, okay, I've been 382 for 10 years, so now I'm going to go free zone. I can't do that.
No shit.
And in fact, anyone who owns any part of a company that's a 382 cannot even participate in a free zone until a certain window of time passes.
No shit.
So because they want the arm's length. They don't want people buying shit into a free zone and then dealing behind their back or whatever. So I tell them at the beginning of the year, I'm going to make 1.2 million cigars.
Mm-hmm.
I need this many kilograms of wrapper. I need this many kilograms of filler. I need this many labels. I need this many bovedas. I need this many stickers. I need this many wooden boxes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And every time I buy something, I have to report it or request permission. Hey, I told you I needed 24,000 wooden boxes this year. Mm-hmm. I'm about to go buy 700. And then the next time I buy 900. And they subtract that from my balance. If I get to the bottom of that balance, they say you can't buy anymore. You have to start paying taxes.
No shit.
So if I've already consumed my allocation of raw material, wrapper and filler, deveined, or, tobacco and RoMa or deveined tobacco, they're going to say, okay, bring all you want, but you got to pay 15% tax.
Right.
Which is, I'll pay it if I have to.
Right.
But I don't want to.
No.
You can request special permission to increase your allocations, and it's a huge paperwork drill, which I've done. Mm-hmm. So, but what's happened over the years, when you're growing, what happens is every year they go, okay, you need how much more? You need how much more? You need how much more?
Right.
And you just kind of pad that number because what they think is if you buy it this year, it goes into a cigar and it gets exported this year.
Right.
And they think January to January.
Right.
But what really happens is I buy broadleaf 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. I need to buy everything that's available.
Right.
So I got to buy 4 years worth, 3 years worth.
Right. So you say
that's going into cigars over the next 3 years.
Right.
But the way they look at it is if you're buying more than what you're consuming, you're selling it out of the back to people who aren't into 382 without paying the taxes. So the way they control you from creating a black market of untaxed raw materials is they limit how much you can buy untaxed.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of complicated, but the net of that is to say, if we're going to start buying big chunks of tobacco now, which I'm free to do now that I don't have we own it 100%. If I go out and buy tobacco, I don't have to do this shell game all the time. So we may form a free zone so that we together can buy tobacco without having to worry about that.
A different company.
But he also needs that because he grows his own tobacco and he brings in tobacco from Ecuador. And right now he's bringing that into Pichardo, which is a 382. So he's dealing with all that administrative stuff.
Right.
And I probably shouldn't even be putting all of his stuff out there because it's really his story to tell.
Right.
But from my perspective, we have these bodegas so that we can work our own tobacco because we need to.
Right.
And I buy a lot of tobacco from Luciano as well. I buy Pueblo Nuevo from him. I buy Jalapa from him now. It's the highest quality, most dependable source for that for me.
Right.
So
he's definitely on the uptick, man. That Maria Lucia is really good.
Yeah, it is really good. It is really good.
That's probably the best thing he's made so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he's made some good things. I mean,
yeah, and I'm not shitting on anything else. Yeah.
I when I was in Europe with him, and like on the flip side of that, right? Like I've had relationships in Europe for a while, and things like track and trace are a new regulation thing. If you want to sell into Europe, you have to document where every leaf of tobacco came from.
Holy shit!
Everything. It's called track and trace. It's a nightmare. So if you just Google track and trace TPD or whatever for Europe, it's a lot. So a lot of these companies already do this, like Nica Prosa and Noxa, people who Hoy to Nicaragua. They've started doing track and trace a long time ago because they sell huge amounts into Europe.
Right.
But little companies, they don't do that generally. Fortunately, Schuster does it for us.
Right.
So so we're helping with that. We're helping with that's the thing about the cigar business is I needed help when I started. I still need help today. Sometimes you never know what you're going to need.
Yeah, there's so many layers to it.
Yeah, so you try to help other good people,
right?
When you can. I mean, Luciano was talking about that on a podcast last night, but he's a lot more willing to help certain people than I am, which is his deal. But me, show me who you are one time.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, I see it.
Right.
This isn't how I do business.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't who I am.
Right.
I don't need to do business with you.
Right. I'm moving on.
I'll give you one more shot. But you should know that I know.
Right.
That you now know. You've been warned.
Right.
Part of the reason why we are a certain size is because I don't brook bullshit. I don't have any time to fuck with people.
Right.
Who are a drag on me in that way.
Right.
And so, Luciano's a little more different. He'll he's a different character.
Right,
than me.
He's a little more opportunistic.
He's like, the whole business is that way. You just can't tell everybody fuck off. I'm like, well, actually, you can.
Right.
You can actually tell every single fucking person to fuck, pretty much. Because there's enough good people out there that you can work with.
Yeah, of course.
That you don't have to work with these other people.
Right.
Or there's people that are like that with others who won't be that way with you.
Right.
As long as you're clear up front that you're not going to put up with it.
Right.
So.
Figuring it all out. One step at a time.
So all that is to say.
Yes, I have 2 bodegas.
Now we have three bodegas.
Yeah.
So that's the story of the bodegas.
Careful with the next question, Michael.
Yeah, we got more to talk about. We got some family shit to talk about. The little vacation, your experience. I'm kind of curious to see what you want to share about that. So we could cover that. I know that there's some quiet rumblings about some other things that you're working on. Maybe you want to talk about those things. It's up to you. But
sure.
We'll say that on the next.
Talking about Weasel Fest. Everybody's asking about Weasel Fest.
Yeah, when's the fucking date? And all that stuff.
When it's happening.
Yeah,
so we'll talk about that in hour 2.
All right,
let's go.
All right, we'll be right back.
All right, bye.
The Cigar Hustlers podcast, its owners, and its sponsors take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the talk show host or their guest. Statements or show topics are not necessarily the beliefs of Mike and Mike Productions or the podcast providers, and opinions between talk show hosts may differ. It is not our intention to libel, incite, or hurt anyone's feelings. We invite you to write the show's host, Mike Stepankevich, with any feedback or suggestions that you have for their shows. These broadcasts are presented and made public as entertainment in the hope that they will be entertaining to the audience.
This has been a Cigar Hustlers podcast, a Mike and Mike production. Be sure to listen every Tuesday at 10 a.m. for all new episodes.
Hi, I'm Justo Iroa.
Yeah, we just don't have to do a single podcast ever again.
Perfect.
Ever.
I'm good, Mike and Mike. How are you guys doing?
The Hojo,
Hojo! It's the Hojo!
the moderator.
You didn't even let him fuck it up all the way.
I gotta get past Hojo! Go on.
I don't even have to try to hit the record. He's not even gonna try. We're gonna cover a lot of ground here, Mike. All right. Try to keep up.
That's a sign of a good podcast.
Maybe like 4 cigars when I walked in the door.
All right, end this.
Mike squared.